All right, welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled you're joining us today because we've got a really fascinating mystery to unravel. It's something that's puzzled students, parents, and frankly, educators for decades. Have you ever wondered how those top-tier educational institutions just constantly stay ahead of the curve? Like, how do certain universities or national school systems consistently churn out groundbreaking research and top-performing students year after year? Well, we're going to look at the data, break down the research, and show you exactly how they pull it off.
Think back for a second to your own educational experiences. Whether it was your local high school or the university you went to, why do some schools just seem so much better equipped, better organized, and honestly just more impactful than others? Is it magic? Is it just a massive budget? Or is there a hidden, systematic engine driving all that excellence behind the scenes?
Well, here's the big reveal. They benchmark. Educational excellence at that absolute highest level, it's almost never an accident. It is the result of a deliberate, systematic replication of success. The absolute best schools in the world, they don't just guess at what might work. They actively look for what's already working perfectly somewhere else, and they figure out exactly how to bring that magic home.
Okay, let's slow down for a second and really unpack what this means. Benchmarking is a systematic process. It's kind of like an institution holding up a massive mirror to itself. But instead of just looking at their own reflection, they're comparing their teaching, their research, and their student support systems with those of the most successful organizations out there. They're asking the really tough, honest questions like, how do the leaders do it? What practices can we adopt or adapt? And maybe most importantly, where are we falling short and where do we need improvement? It's just a constant, relentless pursuit of quality, efficiency, and competitiveness.
Section 1. 3 ways to benchmark. Okay, let's dive right into this because there are actually 3 distinct methods.
We can categorize this into 3 types, and each one serves a completely unique purpose in that journey of continuous improvement. First up, we've got internal benchmarking, which is comparing practices right inside the very same institution. Second, competitive benchmarking, where you compare yourself directly with your external competitors. And third, process benchmarking, which zooms in on specific operational processes and procedures. Let's break these down a bit further so we can really see how they work out in the real world.
Think of it as comparing looking within versus looking outside. With internal benchmarking, a university might compare the teaching performance of different faculties. And hey, let's be honest, anyone who spent time at a university knows all about those intense rivalries between faculties, right? But by looking within, the university might discover that, say, the engineering department has a highly effective new teaching strategy, and then they can actually share that best practice over with the arts department. On the flip side, competitive benchmarking is looking outside at the broader educational environment. This is that global obsession with comparing student performance in national exams, or universities aggressively comparing their research output against other schools just to climb up those global rankings. It's all about knowing exactly where you stand relative to your rivals.
And this brilliantly illustrates our third type, process benchmarking. Now, this isn't about comparing overall prestige. It's about the nuts and bolts. Say a school realizes their digital learning system is just clunky and outdated. Instead of reinventing the wheel, they study how a leading institution manages their digital learning, or their curriculum design, or even their student admissions and research management. They learn from an efficient process used elsewhere, completely overhaul their own system, and instantly level up simply by copying a better blueprint.
Section 2. Gaining the competitive edge. So how does this help institutions stay ahead globally? Well, this is the ultimate reality for modern universities and schools. Adopting best practices is exactly what makes an institution attractive to top-tier students and world-renowned researchers. I mean, if an institution is stagnant, it just falls behind. Continuously improving systems through benchmarking is quite literally the only way a school can position itself to compete globally and draw in that top talent. It's all about building an environment so efficient, innovative, and supportive that the best minds in the world just demand to be there.
Section 3. Real-world success stories. Okay, let's move from the theory to some massive global applications. There is perhaps no better example of this than Singapore. So many countries study Singapore's education system as the absolute gold standard. It's basically the ultimate benchmark for improving teaching and learning across the globe. But why? Well, because they lean on 4 super strong pillars: incredibly robust teacher training systems, a meticulously well-designed curriculum, really strong leadership fostered within their schools, and crucially, consistent policy implementation. Other countries analyze these exact factors and try to adapt those best practices to fit their own unique national contexts.
Now, what's really interesting here is the specific strategic application of benchmarking. We can see how Malaysian universities operate as ambitious climbers on the global stage. They're systematically targeting specific benchmark areas for very clear purposes. For instance, they look at research output to improve their academic impact. They benchmark teaching quality to enhance the student learning experience. They focus on graduate employability to make sure their degrees have real industry relevance. And of course, they target global rankings to strengthen their international reputation. It's a highly calculated strategy to boost both academic quality and global competitiveness at the exact same time.
Section 4. Why benchmarking matters. Because ultimately, when schools benchmark, it's the students who win. To quickly summarize the core benefits drawn from our sources, benchmarking allows schools to identify best practices from successful models. It forces innovation instead of just resting on laurels by requiring institutions to adopt new ideas. It directly improves performance by refining those clunky processes we talked about earlier. And it really supports strategic planning, meaning leaders actually make informed, data-driven decisions rather than just guessing. By learning from the best, schools strengthen their own systems and deliver far better educational outcomes for everyone involved. Which brings us to the end of our explainer, and leaves me with one final provocative thought for you to ponder. We talked about benchmarking as holding up a mirror, right? So think about the educational institution you're most connected to right now. If your school looked in the benchmarking mirror today, what would it see? A leader setting the standard, or a system that desperately needs to look outward to find its way forward? Thanks so much for exploring the secret sauce of world-class schools with me. Keep asking questions and keep learning.